Hey guys, what's up? It's Frank here from Altcoin Buzz coming to you from sunny Bali, and today I'm seeing something reminiscent of 2017. Guys, I had a friend who decided to sell all his altcoins for Bitcoin at some point in 2017, and I thought he was nuts. I thought that was really extreme, but then he ended up making a really good decision, because in this short history lesson, which we will go through today, I'm going to show you how powerful Bitcoin can be and how there are certain indicators which can show that Bitcoin is likely going to go not on the kind of run that it went on in 2017, but certainly it seems very likely that Bitcoin is going to be the king for the coming weeks and possibly even couple of months. We're going to go over a range of reasons for why that is. Many of them technical, especially this Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm going to show you how poorly ETH performed while Bitcoin was performing really well back in 2017, just to give you some perspective on how Bitcoin can really take over the reins. We're of course going to have a quick look at the Bitcoin price and the Ethereum price charts. We're also going to have a look at some fundamentals, talking about the DeFi sector, if it's going to be the answer for the average consumer. Generally go over some Bitcoin news and why Bitcoin really might be the king for the coming weeks and months in terms of price action. And we're going to talk about this lack of correlation between DeFi tokens and Bitcoin. We're going to look at a bunch of DeFi portfolios, DeFi lists, to see how they are performing compared to Bitcoin. And finally, we're going to finish off with all the many millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars invested into Bitcoin, basically creating a very bullish scenario for Bitcoin. If you enjoy this content and want to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button, as it really helps to support the channel. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that I am not a financial advisor and that trading and investing presents financial risks. So I've noticed something very interesting on this Bitcoin dominance chart. I want to show this to you. Over here, you can see that Bitcoin dominance fell from 74% almost all the way down to 56%. And this marked a almost 24% dump in Bitcoin dominance. Now, if you go back in the charts, you will see that most of the times where Bitcoin fell even by 20%, it had a move up. Here's one example. Starting in November 2013, we had a 20% dump in Bitcoin dominance and it started going up. Here we had also a 20% dump in dominance in 2014, and then it started going up. Here, a third time, we had a 20% dump almost, and then it started going up. Now, there are two exceptions to this, which happened in 2017. I'll explain why I think those are different in just a bit. But again, to further show you what happens when Bitcoin dominance dumps 20%, here, bam, a huge move up after this 20% dump in 2018. Again, here in 2018, we saw just a 15% dump before Bitcoin started pumping. Okay, so we've established that usually when Bitcoin dumps around 20%, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the past, that has marked a bottom for Bitcoin. Now, there are two exceptions to this, but they can be very easily explained as sort of very different circumstances. First of all was this period between February 2017 and June 2017. Now, very simply put, the reason for that was that Ethereum was starting to boom like crazy. Within that period, Ethereum went from $11 all the way to a price of $400. So of course, this erased a lot of Bitcoin's dominance. There was an incredible amount of excitement around Ethereum that time. And while there's excitement around Ethereum now, there's of course a lot of competitors to Ethereum as well. But in any case, this second time where Bitcoin fell more than 20% also marked a very different type of market structure. So this was back in the end of December 2017. Now, in December 2017, of course, that whole year pretty much, Bitcoin was making new all-time high after new all-time high for the whole of 2017. So what that meant was that as Bitcoin was gaining a lot of strength, people started to have a lot more confidence in the altcoin market. Their appetite for risk started to go up. And that's what led to this massive altcoin boom for the month of December and January in the end of 2017. So again, incredible excitement over Ethereum. Ethereum was going nuts over here in 2017. And actually, Bitcoin in February 2017, Bitcoin on this chart, you can see had reached $1,500 pretty much, and that was also a new high. So essentially, when there's a lot of excitement in the market, when people are very confident that we're in a bull market, basically that we've crossed previous all-time highs, during those scenarios, it's possible and common to see Bitcoin lose a lot of dominance and people to start getting really speculative with altcoins. However, now Bitcoin has not reached previous all-time highs. It's actually quite a long way away from the $20,000 previous all-time high. So the confidence in the Bitcoin market, the amount of speculators that are here is nowhere near what we had in 2017. So that's why I discount these two 50% dumps in Bitcoin price, and I'm instead looking at the other periods, for example, up until 2016, where Bitcoin was basically the king, so there were no altcoins to really, dethrone it. And then, of course, the period after Ethereum had cooled down, starting basically in 2018. But this, of course, marks the attempt for a new bull run, which has not yet started. So that, in addition to the fact that we are at a pretty important point here on the chart, you can see this 56 level marks a previous high, a previous low. So I suspect it's very likely that over the coming weeks, Bitcoin dominance will go up. And that means going up from here, I would say at the very least 7%. But it's quite possible that we get, closer to previous all-time highs, go to around 70%. Now, another relevant chart is, of course, the ETH BTC chart. And this looks pretty healthy. We had a big move up here, consolidating range, and then another big move up. However, there are some warning signs here. One warning sign, of course, is the MACD, the crossover. You can see that we have a bearish crossover on the MACD here, usually a sign that things can go badly for the weeks thereafter. And we've also crossed into the red zone with two red markers over here. So again, not a good sign. It could quite possibly mean that Ethereum, when compared to Bitcoin, will start losing strength. And the next major level of support here on the ETH BTC chart has us dropping at about 15%. And if you go on the ETH USDT chart, you can also see that Ethereum has now crossed bearish on the MACD. So now let's have a look at some news articles which also support this hypothesis. Well, first of all, this article by Mark Binns is about crypto banks, but he does talk about DeFi here. DeFi is not going to be the answer for the average consumer. So of course, DeFi coins, DeFi altcoins represent a pretty large size of the cryptocurrency market. And that has been behind a lot of the growth in altcoins recently, especially. So here he says the average banking customer isn't going to engage with decentralized finance protocols for decades. Now, I don't necessarily believe that this will be decades, but yes, he says the most avid crypto enthusiast knows enough to dig up the contract address of an ERC20 token, trade it on decentralized exchanges, and invest that token through lending platforms and liquidity pools. However, the average person is likely still going to want to talk to a banker from time to time, even if they hold most of their wealth in the form of cryptocurrency. I tend to agree, DeFi for the foreseeable future is too complex for the average consumer. Even if we have another massive Bitcoin bull market, I don't know that people are going to start becoming really tech savvy. Then of course there's this article by Crypto Newsflash. Crypto experts agree PayPal could offer Bitcoin next. I'm not going to go into the speculation of why or when that could happen, but this has been in the news for a while and it does seem pretty likely that this will happen. And it's not like they're offering Ethereum or other altcoins. The news line, the headline here really is Bitcoin, right? Now this, of course, is going to be the main article for this video, which is an article by Cointelegraph here by Nikolai Kuznetsov. Bitcoin runs crypto markets, but DeFi tokens don't follow its lead. This article written on October 10th, 2020. So according to this Bitcoin news, it's relatively easy to trace a direct correlation between the meteoric rise of DEX volume and the craze for issuing governance tokens that so far have not been able to hold onto their value beyond the initial hype. So here, of course, they're nitpicking a little bit. They're choosing Compound, Sushi, Yam version 3, and Burger. And as you can see from this chart, all of them have pretty much been dumping pretty hard since the all-time highs, especially. That being said, of course, Wi-Fi has been holding on to its market cap pretty decently. It launched, I think, just 1 or 2 digits, and now it's still in the thousands of dollars. So that's an exception. But nonetheless, I agree that, a lot of these DeFi tokens have been losing their value quite significantly. Now, here we have a statement from Omri Ross, chief blockchain scientist at trading platform eToro. He says the jury is still out on the valuation fundamentals for DeFi governance tokens. Given the novelty of the space and the many complex factors going into evaluating the fundamental value of a token, the pricing of government tokens remains highly speculative. And it is true, as exciting as all of this is, it is still extremely speculative. And if there's any doubt in the market, then money will go from these altcoins back into Bitcoin and larger cap coins. And in terms of Bitcoin correlation, he says here, while Bitcoin has been trading within a relatively narrow range over the last month or so, DeFi tokens have shown price movements entirely uncorrelated to Bitcoin markets. Furthermore, he says that the law of diminishing returns will kick in, which means that each new DeFi token entering the market would become progressively less valuable than its predecessors. And then furthermore, despite DeFi's ambitions towards decentralization, few projects can claim to be truly decentralized. I know Uniswap have come under fire for being a little bit more centralized than was initially thought. The team still do have a lot of control over it. I personally think that's reasonable at the beginning. I tend to agree with Vitalik Buterin that they should have control. It should be more centralized and only gradually get more decentralized. But in any case, there are teams of people that maintain the underlying code bases, pay for the hosting of app data, and take care of the user interfaces. Co-founder and CEO of BitTrue, Wang, says that he still believes that the time has yet to come and that no regulation will be implemented in the short to medium term for DeFi. And as he mentioned here, even if you somehow stop a team from working on a protocol, you can't stop others elsewhere from forking or building on top of it. That being said, the recent charges against BitMEX have already highlighted the potential dangers crypto companies and platforms may face if discovered to be lacking in know your customer and anti-money laundering checks, so DeFi included. So basically there have been a lot of articles and podcasts and discussion about DeFi. Is DeFi under threat based on these recent incidents with BitMEX and of course the KuCoin exchange hack which we experienced just recently. And he finishes off here with a reminder about how the ICO market turned out. Those who have been around long enough to remember the post-ICO freeze of crypto's long winter would do well to remain cautious of history repeating itself. Now, I don't think that DeFi is going to, go, close to zero as ICOs basically did. But I do believe that, we've had an incredible amount of hype over DeFi, and considering the phenomenal growth, it is quite possible that the hype dies down a little bit for the coming weeks or months at least. Now here on app.santiment.net, you can see over the past 7 days, this DeFi summer list representing $5.6 billion has only gone up 0.27%, while all assets in the cryptocurrency market have gone up 6.05%. So clearly the whole cryptocurrency market is outperforming DeFi. And in terms of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, you can see that Bitcoin has actually been outperforming Ethereum over the past 7 days. So, usually when Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up even more. But when you start seeing this divergence where, Ethereum doesn't go up quite as much, or Bitcoin starts to outperform certain altcoins, look, it's outperformed XRP, it's outperformed Binance, it's outperformed Polkadot over the past 7 days, it's starting to create a possibility of a trend reversal away from altcoins and back into Bitcoin. And here we have the top 100 decentralized finance coins on CoinGecko/EN/DeFi. Now they include Chainlink here. I think it's a bit of a push to include Chainlink as a DeFi coin. They do a lot more than DeFi. And also I know that app.santiment don't include it in their DeFi summer list. So if we just disregard Chainlink and look at the next top 10 coins, how many of these have outperformed Bitcoin? Well, Wrapped Bitcoin obviously has done exactly the same as Bitcoin. DAI is a stable coin, so we can disregard that. Aave down 6%, Uniswap down 10%, Maker only up 3%, Synthetics down 4.5%, Yearn Finance down 12.4%. Only UMA has outperformed Bitcoin over the past 7 days. So we're definitely starting to see a trend away from DeFi into Bitcoin over the past 7 days. And as mentioned, based on this Bitcoin dominance chart, if you look at the much bigger picture of, when Bitcoin dominance goes down for several months, as it has been now, don't forget that, Bitcoin dominance has been decreasing for almost 4 months now, 16 weeks here. So, it's easy to get into the mindset, altcoins have been pumping recently, they've retraced, they're probably going to pump again, it's just the market cycle. But, if this previous history turns to repeat itself, apart from these 2 exceptions in 2017, every time Bitcoin dominance falls by about 20-25%, it rebounds. So, I'm personally going to start selling my altcoins, some of them into Bitcoin. I'm not going to sell all of them into Bitcoin, but I do believe the coming weeks and months are quite bullish for Bitcoin compared to altcoins. Now, all that being said, DeFi looks alive and well according to DeFiPulse.com. Total value locked $10.9 billion. And again, I'm not saying DeFi is going anywhere. I'm just saying that the hype may be a little bit excessive. And again, Bitcoin does seem to be showing strength on the technical chart. But it's great to see that, billions and billions of dollars are still locked in DeFi. Now, one final bullish factor for Bitcoin is this website, bitcointreasuries.org. This measures the Bitcoin treasuries in publicly traded companies. Now, most recently, we of course had Square Incorporated, who invested $50 million in Bitcoin. But in addition to that, we have MicroStrategy, who had their $425 million investment. Grayscale, of course, have the largest investment with $4.8 billion. And CoinShares, the XBT provider, with $770 million. Now, what's incredible about this is that this represents 2.85% of the whole Bitcoin market. This is an incredibly bullish trend for Bitcoin. And unfortunately, you don't see this trend for altcoins. Of course, Grayscale have invested in Ethereum, but it's a much smaller fraction compared to what they've invested in Bitcoin. And if we start seeing all this institutional money coming into Bitcoin, it's definitely very, very bullish. And I personally suspect that, I don't know for sure. Of course, I don't know anything for sure. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to start booming here, but certainly if Bitcoin starts dumping, I suspect that Bitcoin dominance will go up a lot. And honestly, if it goes up as well, I also suspect that, altcoins won't manage to keep up quite as well with Bitcoin performance. Now, our last chart, which proves my point, is the ETH BTC chart. So as you can see from this chart, we have a very important zone here marked by this red box. This is marked by the highest liquidity zone within this area. This is between 0.032 and 0.0336. So what's relevant about this zone is not only that it's high liquidity, but also that it's marked previous lows. Several times we've come to this zone and found support. And now we broke bearish through this zone, we resisted once from it again, and now we're in this zone again. So the way I see it, until or unless ETH BTC goes above, has several closes above the 0.033 line, that we will very likely see a continuation of this negative performance for ETH BTC. Now, maybe we stay within this range, but I think it's honestly more likely that we come down to test previous support. So basically, I suspect that Ethereum will lose 10 to probably 15% of its value compared to Bitcoin over the coming weeks and months. But guys, this is just my opinion. I'm not telling you should sell all your altcoins. I'm certainly not selling all of my altcoins, but I am going to enter a Bitcoin position. I am going to start de-risking from altcoins, getting into Bitcoin. I think the narrative could be changing now. But that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Are you still invested in altcoins? Have you started switching your funds to Bitcoin? What do you think about all this analysis? Let me know down in the comments below. And with that being said, guys, I will see you in the next one.